Welcome. This is the October edition for Talents Bell at our normal place, Avenue Suit. That place I promised you last time. If you sleep here, you're gonna catch your dream. So this is a place. And today I wanna be sharing on things killing the next generation. And when I'm talking about the next generation, I'm talking about the laboratory age. I'm talking about teenage life. And I'm asking myself, why is it that a militant generation of parents is raising a civilian generation of teenagers? Guys who don't have the principles of life, guys who are not following the most tenets of the values that the former generation used to be successful. And I'm saying this because I have, for the last 22 years, been speaking to young people. And I have noticed that we are moving from being weak to weaker to weakest. So the trend is moving from up here to down here. When it comes to values, when it comes to character, when it comes to personal discipline, and also personal determination. I've seen a deterioration and people moving from one level of weakness to another level of weakness. And I ask myself, what is happening with the teenagers of the day? And you know, when we talk about teenagers, anytime we have ever talked about the future generation, we're talking about a generation that is going to take over from one generation. And we must, for those of us who are ahead of this generation, we must make sure that we are giving this next generation an opportunity to stand on our shoulders, to stand on the values that really built us to be the passion and the people we are today. And so I'm so excited as I'm sharing this, having one time shared a platform with someone from Britain. And I asked them, why is it that Britain, being a very small nation, being with the least population, why is it that it is one of the strongest nations in the world? And somebody told me that one time their fathers were great people. And so they are riding and walking on the shoulders of great people. And so today, I would like to share a few things that are killing this generation so that we may pick up and realize what our responsibility is and realize what is our role in building and molding the next generation. One of the things that is really killing this generation is lack of personal discipline. When I'm talking about lack of personal discipline, I'm talking about a generation and a people who can pick up things and be self-driven, work out things with less supervision, be a people who can take responsibility, personal responsibility, without even being told, do ABC. And so a generation that, what I may call nowadays wanasema, generation ya kujituma. So we lack a people who've got personal discipline when it comes to time management, when it comes to doing specific actions. We lack a people who've got that personal discipline. You see, personal discipline really helps us to mold our life, to design our path towards our greatness. And you see, with personal discipline, it is one of the things that have really kept people in the path, what we call consistency. Consistency is built out of a person who is disciplined and they are doing one thing continuously. And so I hear people talk about the current generation of students who are not keeping it up to who they are, who are not keeping it up to some grades, who are not keeping up to some way of behaving in talent-wise. And so I see a generation that lacks consistency. And the lack of consistency is dictated by a lack of personal discipline. Another thing that kills this generation is personal determination. And you see, we have a generation that is so stagnant, a generation that only views things from a current perspective, a generation that looks at issues and looks at life not from what will happen in future, and a generation that looks like they want to dream into the future, they want to fall into the future. Determination helps you to have a focus into your future, and then determination puts you into process. Because if you are not processed, anything that doesn't get into a process, it will not have an impact in the future. So personal determination is that push into the future, that push into giving you the best version of yourself, the best version of the person you are born to be, the best person of the talent that you are born to be, the best person of anything that you want to become. So determination gives you the push. You ask yourself, how do I make this person a better version of myself? How do I make this person stand out and become great? How do I make this person also go for an extra mile? Because one of the other things that we need to understand is that going for an extra mile, it is telling yourself, there are things I must forego today. Determination helps you to see these things that you must forego today. One of them being sleep. We live in a generation that really loves sleep, a generation that really doesn't enjoy waking up early. Now, if you want to survive in the future, you must say no to sleep. And you must sit like you're not competing with dead people, because sleeping guys are competing with people who don't have any urge of what tomorrow holds. And so I challenge this generation to identify self-determination, lack of it, as one of the things that is putting this generation to go down. Another thing that really kills this generation is lack of a positive attitude. And you see, you can have everything in your environment. You can have everything that you need to become the person you are born to be. But without a positive attitude, without being that person who has a personal drive, without being that person who sends themselves believing that they can make it. Yes, you can have the character. Yes, you can have the behavior. But what about that belief that it is possible? You can make it. That attitude, it makes you move from being down to being up. It makes you move against the voices that are telling you you can't make it. Because you can't just jump out into the sea and become the person that you're born to be. You must have that power to overcome the storms of life. And overcoming the storms of life don't just happen. For those who are in church, it is an act of faith. I think I read in the book of Mark, and I had these disciples trying to pass over, and then there are storms of life, and Jesus only comes and stops the storm. Faith helps our attitude to develop. But I know I'm speaking to a generation that believes in faking it until they make it. I am a believer that you must faith it until you make it. And that is an aspect of attitude. And so those are the few things that are really destroying the current generation. I'll be continuing after the break. I'll be continuing with the other things that are killing this generation. But I want to help you. Get a piece of paper. Analyze. What are those things that I'm trying to do? And I'm not doing them. What are those dreams that I have? What are those visions that I have? I'm trying to work out and I'm not making it. What are my problems? What is it that makes me not to make it? And what are the things that I have heard the older generation talk about that they did and they stood. Then ask yourself, what would be the difference if I started working out my life against what I'm doing today? This is not a message for the teenagers only, but it's a message for each one of us. Because even as teenagers are being overtaken, we are also being overtaken by things. Because when teenagers are affected, our cry should be, what shall we hand over? Or to whom shall we hand over what we have? So after the break, we continue. And may God bless you. And ukae tu hapo hapo.